All right, Matt. We've seen some examples. You've shown us. Obviously after the race it's quite easy, but but we all know you've made it pay, so we know you're not sort of making it all up. But surely you must get it wrong sometimes. And how badly does it when it goes wrong? Does it go wrong?
Yeah, I get things wrong, I would say, every day. Um, Sometimes they're big things, sometimes they're small things, sometimes you get away with it, and sometimes you don't. You can get it wrong for any number of reasons. Sometimes it's misreading a horse's body language. Sometimes it's misreading a jockey's body language. You can make errors that way, but there can be all kinds of things. To give you a few examples, one I remember doing a lot of money on a 3-year-old sprinter making its reappearance a few years ago, and he'd been a talented but nutty 2-year-old making its first reappearance. I think it was about 10-1 at Sandown. Um, Very keen early doors, and then made a big move right down the centre of the track, which in those days, this is several years ago, there was a horrible track bias. The further you were away from the rail on the sprint track at Sandown, the worse it was. And this horse had over raced, made a big move halfway through, came to join the leaders tanking, and was trading at, I don't know, somewhere between 2-3 to 1, having gone off at tens. And I thought, well, if you really want to back this horse with that profile, having made that move down that part of the track, then help yourselves, and just kept inputting lays, and of course it strode effortlessly clear, and was Batash. That was the first time, to me at least, that he really showed what he might go on and do. So sometimes getting things wrong is just things that you didn't know about a horse, and you can maybe use going forwards. Another one, which we won't show the footage because most people can probably picture it, but Frankel's famous guineas. I laid Frankel at about halfway, to which I'm sure people are thinking, the greatest horse of all time up against some Group 3 and handicappers with a 15-length start. Yeah, you sound very shrewd, very definitely with two O's. Um, my logic at the time, he was about threes on at halfway, and to my mind, there were two possibilities. Either he'd been largely run away with, he had been a very free horse who they were trying to teach to settle, and that, Tom Queally had not completely lost control, but the horse was in control. This was all going to go horribly wrong as he came back to them and went through the pack. Or it was going to be, the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And to my mind, at halfway, again, you've got to think like that. I thought it was pretty well 50-50 between each of those two possibilities. So laying at 1-3, I thought was quite reasonable. And I maintain that somewhere in a parallel universe, he did fall back through the pack, and people are saying, oh, they need to teach that thing to settle if it's ever going to fulfill its potential. But yeah, that was another one. That was one where I talked earlier about wanting the cherry on the top. There, I couldn't wait. If I'd waited to, he's coming back, he's coming right back to them, the price is gone. I couldn't wait for the evidence there. I had to go with, a gut feel, if you like. But that was one I got horribly wrong. From a backing point of view, a horse called Bobsworth going for a second Gold Cup. It was a little bit like Altior over it, even more so. Very unglamorous. Needed to be niggled and pushed and asked. Wasn't a fluent jumper, but had won one Gold Cup and a Hennessy. Had won the big race in Ireland, and just, if he was in contention and his jumping and his travelling hadn't put him out of the race, then he'd shown time again that he would get the job done in the closing stages. So in this, he was going for a second Gold Cup, and as the race went on and he hadn't made any bad blunders and he hadn't travelled too badly for him, I was getting more and more on and more and more on, and coming towards the last, it was him and Silvianaco Conti, who was a very good horse but not as strong a finisher, certainly over that trip, as Bobsworth, and it was between the two of them coming to the last. Even more, he's just going to win. He'll outstay Silvianaco Conti. He will win. And by this point, I was all in. Jumped the last, and as they jumped the last, one of them dived to the right, one of them dived to the left, and three rags came up the middle, and they finished fourth and fifth. And as they crossed the line, I had no idea what had just happened. And several years on, I'm not really much the wiser. Sometimes I don't get, we don't get things right all the time. Sometimes, as I say, it can be a batash where you learn something about a horse you didn't know. Sometimes, you're still literally none the wiser years after the event. And you've asked me to pick out something else on the lines of things that you never would expect. So we've got the video for that one here. Okay, so this is a Supreme Novices Hurdle from a few years ago, and a horse called Somerville Boy, who's in these colours here. They're coming down the hill at this point, or they're about to. He's in behind the leaders. Going well enough, he's occasionally been niggled along, but there's plenty going well all around him. The crucial point is this is the real guts of the race, where you're separating the wheat from the chaff. Jumps that one not brilliantly, but okay, he's in behind. And the crucial part of this story is about to happen as they come down to this flight, which is the second last. So he's in behind here. And if you watch this mistake, there. Now, at that point, having not only made that mistake, lost his hind legs as well, lost the momentum, been shuffled back. It's hard to tell with a drone. You could tell exactly where he was, but I would say he's not in the first 6 or 7. He's lost several lengths at a crucial stage. My guess would have been what happened to him there, that, he finished 15th, was reported sore behind, and we hope to have him back next season, because that was such a jolting mistake. And with what happened with his back legs, the idea that he would go on to win from there, if somebody paused time at that point and said you could lay Somerville Boy at 5-1 in running to win that race, I would have laid it for every penny in my bank, my house, and at least one of my children. So sometimes things happen that you just can't believe happened, as we'll see here.
Which one is he mounting?
He's dropped right back to here. So he does incredibly well to even get back into contention, and if memory serves, he even fluffs the last as well. He's got into contention, looks for a jump, doesn't get it, and yet still storms up the hill, nailing poor old Kalashnikov, and gets there on the line, or just before. And that, as I say, is something that there are many things that you can get wrong for all kinds of reasons. I just wouldn't have thought that could have happened. And you just never know.
All right, Matt, well, thanks for that demonstration, just as well you didn't take a stance on the race. But so finally, what frustrates you about this game in running?
I think my biggest frustration, I will go to my grave, I think, convinced that racing has missed a big opportunity with in-running betting. I think it's a classic example of racing being so many factions and camps, and for all the talk of, we're all in it together and we've all got to grow the pie, and it just never plays out like that. And I think the stuff with the lack of a level playing field, it's 2022, people have been saying for 20 years now, and as I said earlier, with the racing TV pictures, certainly with their stream, they're not far off the drone. It's a fraction of a second behind the drones. You've got the angle of the drones, but in terms of the stream, that's perfectly doable. Their TV channel is a little behind that, but the Sky Sports at the races before them is still woeful, both in terms of the TV pictures and the streaming, and they obviously have their reasons. They're not interested in helping Betfair. But I understand that Betfair have cornered the market. It's Betfair who have in running, but it's just so depressing, as I say, that what in running betting could be, and not only from the point of the picture delays, but what that then leads to, this narrative that it's shark infested waters, and the reporting on it, when you hear what do you ever hear about in-running betting other than, oh, that one was a mile clear and didn't win, it got traded at 1.01, that one came from the clouds and did win, it got done at 1,000, and okay, that's very exciting for the people who are laying the 1.01s or back in the 1,000, but to me, it's not the exciting bit. And to use a recent example, Galopin de Champs, when he fell at Cheltenham, that was all you heard afterwards. Done at 1.01 as he crumpled on landing after the last. Bob Ollinger was done at 1,000. And it was really fascinating. The early part, the whole talk in the build-up to the race was of Bob Ollinger's engine, but not the most natural jumper, against this fantastic, exuberant jumping machine, Galopin de Champs. And, this clash of styles, how would it pan out? And in the early stages, Galopin de Champs actually ballooned the first few. Bob probably jumped better than he did over the first 3 or 4. But then Galopin de Champs settled into that rhythm, flick, flick, flick over the fences. Bob Ollinger, under pressure, started belting. And that, to me, that's the exciting bit about in-running betting. And you never hear about that. You only ever hear 1.01, 1,000. Don't do this unless you're on the quickest pictures. And I think that whole thing is what I find depressing. What it could be if the pictures were level, what it could be if it was marketed in a different way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if we had live pictures for everyone and we had, plenty of stuff in the same way you get the first 20 pages of the Racing Post about, who tips what. If you got stuff, even a little segment on in-running pointers, things to look for, and you had live pictures, maybe there would be no more interest. Maybe there's only a certain pool of people who are interested, but I really don't think it's the case. And when you hear people, I just find it depressing. How can we get more people betting on racing? How can we get, in running, we could try, if only we could get more young people. How? Because they like fast moving and they like things with screens. In running, but here we are 20 years later. And so, that's what I find depressing about in running.
Brilliant. Well, let's hope you stop being depressed about that and more people come into it. All those kids get out the arcades and get on the in-running. Not kids over 18s only, of course. The fastest finger wins.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, Matt Mantle, thank you very much.
Pleasure.